public comment this morning? I don't see anybody in the lobby. Anybody? No? Anybody calling in or whatever it is we do?
There are no public comments in the lobby.
Okay, cool. All right.
Good.
Okay, so our first item is to approve the February 3rd minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the February 3rd minutes.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. You got that? Yeah. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And we have information items, diversity and inclusion.
Madam Chair, Trish Collins and Tamika White, our great leaders in our Human Resources Department, are going to give you a very brief presentation and give you the option, if you so would like, to recommend approval of a proposed diversity and equity and inclusion mission statement, which is in the packet.
Sure.
Take it away, Trish. Or Tamika.
Great, thank you, Brad. Good morning. I am Trish Collins. I'm the Director of Human Resources at PSTA, and I am joined by Tamika White. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Tamika White. I'm the Senior Organizational Development Manager in the HR department.
Thank you. And as Brad mentioned, we're here to talk with you this morning about diversity, equity, and inclusion at PSTA. This is a major component of our sustainable strategic plan, which has been brought before you, and it's a key priority for our CEO, Brad Miller. I will share my screen here. There we are. PSTA is an incredibly diverse organization. We have employees from all over the world, aged in their 20s to their 70s. We have all different languages spoken here, different religions represented. We have LGBTQ employees, employees with disabilities and neurodivergencies. All of the wonderful ways that we're different and the ways that we're all part of the same team are represented here at PSTA. And our diversity within our organization makes us a reflection of the community that we serve. Being a diverse, equitable, and inclusive organization is a journey. It's an active process. And we've developed a strategy to guide our focus on this journey.
We've included 3 core areas in our diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy: our workforce, workplace, and community. Sustaining a strong and diverse workforce is critical to our success. We cast a wide net to reach and recruit diverse people to join our team and ensure a fair and equitable hiring process. Once new team members join PSTA, helping them thrive and be successful requires a culture of inclusion, belonging, and respect. Workforce collaboration, teamwork, and transparent communication are strong drivers for employee success and are strengthened by PSTA's investment in professional development at all levels. PSTA is an important leader in our community and in the transit industry. Our very service, public transportation, is a powerful tool for equity in the lives of our riders. Through our community partnerships and philanthropic activities, we drive diversity, equity, and inclusion for job seekers, disadvantaged businesses, and all residents and visitors of Pinellas County. Our entire leadership team is committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion in all we do. This spring, we developed a diversity, equity, and inclusion mission statement to define the standard we hold ourselves and our culture to. It serves as our compass and communicates to everyone that PSTA prioritizes and drives accountability around diversity and inclusion. Our new DEI mission statement reads, "At PSTA, we intentionally make inclusion a priority. Diversity is what drives us, no matter who you are, where you're from, how you think, or whom you love. We connect all people to places, to opportunities, and to chances. We will always strive to be better. We pledge this to everyone.
This is an incredibly important priority at PSTA, and everyone in the organization is leaning into diversity, equity, and inclusion. The board's leadership and commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion elevates this important strategy and moves PSTA forward with one voice. As Brad said, we would like to give the committee the opportunity this morning to recommend approval of this diversity, equity, and inclusion mission statement to the full board. I'd be happy for any discussion that we'd like to have, and I'll turn it back over to the chair at this time.
Thank you. All right, any questions, comments?
Good job.
Yeah, sounds good. Yes, Commissioner Lawton.
I was going to try to be quiet, but I can't help myself. I think that this is a great testament to Brad's leadership, number one. And number two, as I was listening to Tricia, it occurred to me that as public leaders in our community, especially as I look around and I see the folks that serve on PSTA and how diversely they represent the cross-section of our county, it wouldn't be what's the word I'm searching for? It would be a great pulpit that we have to embrace this value into all of our strategic plans that we have, that for those of us that are elected officials and serve on government agencies or boards, it's a great opportunity to highlight it in our strategic plans, because even though in many ways we strive on a lot of our policies to work on this issue, it isn't articulated very well as a true value in our strategic plan. I was just thinking back, Commissioner Gerard, to our very own strategic plan at the county level, and I think it's a conversation that bears having from a variety of different places and not just at PSTA. So I want to personally thank you, Brad, for bringing that forward. You can uncross your arms now if you're really listening. Thank you. Yes,
I'm listening to
thank you.
anybody else?
Great job.
Very good, thank you. All right.
Good job,
Go ahead.
Tricia and Tamika. Very nice.
Yes, it was very good. I'd just like to say to respond to Commissioner Long, I think you're exactly right. And Trish and I were just talking about this yesterday about how we can just get this initiative. It's not really an initiative because it's not like it's ever going to be done, you know. It is but it's a very important sort of spirit that PSTA has and wants to emulate. You sent me the county's new website that articulates its sustainability efforts, and we're working on that too. That's very important too. But that is exactly the kind of message about how it gets into all areas of the organization that Tricia and I want the diversity and inclusion to be a part of too. And as she said, we've gotten fantastic response from every part of our organization to this.
Well, just imagine, if I might, Madam Chair, if throughout our country, all of the government agencies embrace this subject matter, we wouldn't be having a lot of the conversations that we're having around the country today that are so divisive. Do you know, because it kind of brings everybody together.
I agree.
Okay, all right.
Great.
Thank you, Trish.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Brad, PSTA and Heart collaboration?
Would you like to recommend this
Oh, I'm sorry.
mission statement?
Yes, sure. Need somebody to make a motion then.
I move that we recommend this to Where does it go next, Brad? The same conversation we
We
had
can-
at legislative?
we
Straight
can
to the
go
board?
Yeah.
Do we have to send it to any other? Let's move it straight to the board.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Brad.
Excellent, great. Next thing on our list was just, PSBA Heart collaboration. I have had now several different Zoom conversations with the new CEO over at Heart in Tampa. PSBA for, I think it's been about 5 years, has had a agreement, an interlocal agreement with Heart to collaborate, to encourage collaboration and to allow for collaboration in any forms that we would like it to be. This was spearheaded, a lot of this by Commissioner Long, and an effort that she led several years ago to just identify ways in which we can agree to work together that benefit both of us. And for several years, we actually shared staff between the two organizations and saved money. Heart was in need of a risk manager to oversee their risk department, and so our Diane Randall did double duty and went across the Howard Franklin Bridge Tuesdays and Thursdays or something like that, and provided risk management oversight for both organizations for a while. And then Al Burns, our very highly motivated procurement director, he was the procurement director over at Heart, and then we borrowed him when we needed a procurement director, and then ultimately he's come over to the good side permanently, as you know. So, but with the sort of leadership change and turbulence over there in Hillsborough, we no longer share any employees, and the sort of number of collaborations has dwindled somewhat. So I was encouraged when Adelaide Legrand, the new CEO, reached out to me. She didn't know really much about it. She saw it in her office that we have this agreement, and she said, Brad, would you like to collaborate on things? And I was like, yes. I mean, we've been waiting on the phone for someone to say yes. And so she said she was going to talk to her board, and she did, and they're very positive in just seeing what might be possible. So I put this on as an information, just to tell you that, and then if any of you have any thoughts on how we might get that going, I'd be very interested.
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Go ahead.
So I think it's a fabulous idea, and I think another very great examples of how if you can embrace the idea that with partnerships you can do more and get more done. We can also highlight the partnership that we have created with T-BARDA, to the point where T-BARDA was able to use our entire finance team in an effort to restructure how they move forward and ensure that they are taking advantage of the different pots of transportation dollars that are available from the federal government and from the state. That's a PhD in the making right there, if you can wrap your brain around all of that. But it occurs to me that with the new leadership at Heart and with many new members on the board of Heart, there might be an opportunity there as well to add that to the list if we just can meet and talk about those things that we can agree on. It's a marvelous opportunity. I mean, we can help them and they can help us, and in the end, we provide better service more efficiently for our citizens, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes. Anybody else?
I think the way that, Madam Chair, I think the way that we did it, as I recall in the past, was we scheduled a couple of joint executive committee meetings. The executive committee of HART, made up of their chair and vice chair and other leaders, and then this executive committee got together and sort of mapped out sort of ideas on where each thought that they could agree on working together. And that's how it got started again. So that's what I would propose to Adelaide, and then we just see if we can get a joint meeting together.
Great. Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
I like it.
You know, you probably have better ideas than we do about what things we can collaborate on a day-to-day basis, you know. But certainly supportive of that idea.
Yeah. You know, in the past, we've, and I think we're very open to keep doing this. We've collaborated on a bunch of procurements together, like on fuel. We still buy our fuel together. And the airport also, all off of one contract, buys fuel. But there might be other things, either on staff resources. One thing that's been discussed a lot, which didn't really get agreement last time, and so we haven't done it, but is whether or not at some point we would coordinate our legislative agendas in Tallahassee or DC. That gets a little trickier, I think. But you know, anything is possible. So
Right,
we'll
and there
see.
might be more cooperation on the board than
Yeah.
there used to be. I mean, there seem to be some barriers to that on their board,
Yes.
more than ours even. So, okay, I'm not aware of who's on the board anymore, so. Anyway,
The chair of HART is Mariella Smith. She's a county commissioner.
okay, great.
Yes.
All right, well, let's move on that. Okay, April board agenda.
Yes, thank you. So you have at your places a paper copy of the proposed April board agenda. And we will be adding another item that we just discussed at the legislative committee to a task order to do further design for our waterborne transportation partnership that we're creating with the Clearwater Ferry. And so Cassandra, that'll be coming to the planning committee in addition to what you see on here. On the consent agenda, maybe this will be an actual action item, will be an award of our autonomous vehicle contract to advance the AVA autonomous shuttle that we successfully ran in St. Petersburg to Dunedin and to Clearwater Beach, ultimately. We've been working with the city of Dunedin. There's been a few changes to the route because the Toronto Blue Jays are going to keep playing in Dunedin through the month of May. So we're going to run the autonomous shuttle as a baseball shuttle from the downtown down to the stadium on game days that the Blue Jays are in town. And then on other days, we're hopeful that we can get the federal government to approve of kind of a downtown circulator route, just on the main street there, past the city hall. So that's an exciting progress
So
on that shuttle.
how long is that trip from downtown to the stadium up there?
I think it's less than a half a mile. I mean, some people walk it, but it's a little bit too far to walk.
I guess it seemed longer to me, but, okay.
Yeah. And then people park, there's parking lots all along Douglas Avenue there, as you go from the downtown to the stadium. So we'd pick up some of those people too. And then the item that we talked about last week at our board meeting pretty extensively, and I've got several meetings now to talk with the Jolly Trolley folks about making sure that we incorporate a plan for them to get electric trolleys, zero-emission, electric battery-powered trolleys into their fleet as soon as we possibly can. And at least what I'm envisioning for that is that with our ability to get grants and to apply for different grants, that when we apply for electric trolley grants, they have to agree to run those electric trolleys and have the infrastructure in place at their garage to charge them and that sort of thing. And and they would obviously need training and everything like that. So I'm optimistic we'll work something out with them. You know, it's not gonna happen probably overnight, but I think we have an opportunity to start getting going on this. So
Great.
that
So,
will be the main action item at the board meeting this month.
so how many trolleys do they have running? Do you know?
I think the Jolly Trolley has something like 25 total trolleys in various states of repair. We require 14. 14 trolleys is what it takes to run the PSTA service. But again, one of the issues is that they run trolleys for charter, for weddings, and they do a shuttle for the Phillies, the Clearwater, when the Phillies are in town and things like that. So that's why they have those other vehicles in their fleet.
Okay. Commissioner Long?
Yes,
You
I
need
wanted
to turn
to,
your,
oh,
you turned it off.
I wanted to, thank you. I wanted to ask you, Brad, as it relates to the trolleys and the resistance that we got. I mean, do you think there's an opportunity for us to help them partner with Duke the way we did?
Yes.
To maybe offset getting a charger for their garage or a
Yes,
maintenance facility or whatever you want to call what they're building up there?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that either Duke or they already have a partnership with Clearwater Gas, perhaps. But yes, I think that we can probably get grants or a partnership with Duke to get them the necessary depot charger. Because we've gotten all of our depot charging equipment paid for by Duke so far. So I don't see why they shouldn't be able to do the same thing. Yeah.
Well, Melissa said that was one of her new initiatives, was to electrify.
Yeah. And she and I had a good call, and then she's approved for the Duke lobbyists to be up there working with Ron Pierce in Tallahassee right now on the VW settlement funding. So Duke has got a vested interest in this.
Is that Chris Flack still?
I have his name written down. I don't think that's his name though. But yeah, so then that would be an action item to approve of the ultimate 10-year agreement with the planning in place to move their fleet over that period of time to electric.
Great.
Like ours.
Good, thank you for that.
Yeah. Brian, can you talk a little bit about, I'm not on the legislative committee, so I'm not quite sure, but the opportunities that might be coming up from what you're hearing about electric vehicles? I noticed that we're doing another NOLO grant, but for a larger number. I forget how many it was.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, we are, we're pursuing every electric vehicle opportunity that might be out there, and learning of more all the time. As the legislative committee heard from Cassandra, there's grant opportunities for electric ferry boats, or hybrid electric ferry boats even. But on the bus side, Congress has approved over the last several years, and then under the new administration, we're expecting it to grow even bigger, but big increases in the low-no electric bus program funding. It's doubled in size, I think, Harry told me. And so that's why you saw a larger application from us. We probably won't get all that, but you won't get anything you don't apply for. So there's that funding. There is funding for what is called bus and bus facilities, which could be for electric buses. We're going to be applying for all the infrastructure for this facility, the solar panels to add to the power of this building, to charge more vehicles. As Cassandra likes to call it, that's called our solar system, because it's just so enormous. And then, in addition, and Harry Glenn is working on this, Congress has now opened the door again to earmarks. And so we're applying for, and thank you everyone for writing the letters of support for these earmarks, for Congressman Chris to support. And actually, we've talked to Congressman Bilirakis and even Congresswoman Castor, because every congressional member gets a certain allotment of asks. Now, what we heard from at the legislative committee today, Biden has proposed this big infrastructure bill.
Right.
I was encouraged to see in that he specifically, or it specifically contains funding, big funding for electrification of vehicles, including, and he specified electric transit buses and electric school buses. And I felt like this was a little bit of a victory because about a month ago, Susan Glickman was very excited. She sent me a thing that the Department of Energy had proposed. Their bill had electrification of vehicles, but it only mentioned school buses. And I was depressed. And then this battle in Tallahassee, the VW settlement seems to be moving toward electric school buses only and not transit. So the latest thing, that the infrastructure package in DC is the first thing I've seen that actually specified the words, which apparently is a thing. I thought you could just say buses and it wouldn't matter, but I guess you have to be specific. So there does seem to be a lot of growing number of opportunities out there for helping us get electric.
Great,
Yeah.
okay. Good to know. All right, anything else on Jolly Trolley?
And that's a good discussion because our presentation is going to be on Earth Day, which is April 22nd. We're doing a series of, I think they're called climate talks, all around the county with different folks talking about different aspects of resiliency and climate change. And we have the electric bus in the background. And yesterday we did our first one with Commissioner Flowers and talked about diversity and inclusion and how that affects sustainability and how that's a big measure. And we had the bus and we had a number of other guests. So it was really good. So we have another one with Mayor Kreisman and another one up in Dunedin with some folks from the Tampa Bay Resiliency Estuary Program and a few other folks. So, and then this will be in some kind of Oscar-winning video package that you'll see at the board meeting.
That's good.
I hope.
Okay. All right, June service changes. What is that?
Is Cassandra still there? She's not there? Okay. I put this on the agenda because PSTA, as you know, is trying to monitor what's going on in the world with COVID, but lots of our folks are getting vaccinated and things are hopefully improving. We have tentatively targeted a return to return to normal of our bus services for coming up on June 6th. That would mean moving to the front door boarding, charging fares again, and no longer limiting the capacity on the vehicles to 15 passengers. And that's really the biggest thing because during spring break right now, we are really having problems on the beach with passing people by down on San Key, I heard, with the 15 max. 15 max, and we're trying to add as many trolleys as we possibly can out there. But we set the date of June 6th because that's when our labor agreement with our union has that we're allowed to change the service. And we'll see how it goes. We believe that we'll probably still be we'll have a federal requirement to wear masks, but people can responsibly wear masks and ride transit. And then, so Cassandra will give us a presentation Cassandra and her team about some of the ridership data we're seeing, some of the overcrowding on the beach and a few other routes, and how things are trending. On the Jolly Trolley and on the Looper in St. Petersburg, ridership has just been exploding this month. I mean, it is back to basically pre-COVID levels because spring break is here, to almost pre-COVID levels. And so for those sort of tourist-oriented services, we're seeing sort of big growth in ridership. So hopefully all of our folks are getting vaccinated. That's our big push right now. The community health centers of Pinellas was great. We got some 300 of our employees vaccinated, but we still have 500 to go. So, so we're really trying to do everything we can. Maybe I'll get some of you to do the same, like, Uncle Sam, I want you to get vaccinated. Messages that some of us have done.
Okay.
So that we can make that June service change, reopening possible. My thought is then PSBA would maybe have its June board meeting with everybody sort of without Zoom. I don't know if it would be everyone would be up here on the dais or not. Maybe we'd still have some spacing out, but we would target the June board meeting for when we kind of get back in here.
Okay. Gina, did you have something?
Yes, thank you.
You're on.
But this is just
No,
like
you're
an
already
open
on.
for discussion.
That's good.
Sorry. I know that fairs are important and we want to get back to that at some point, but have you considered maybe leaving that part as it is right now? As we still have so many of the people are using Central Avenue Trolley and of course our buses to get to work, or to get to a job interview, or to apply for a job, because the number of people who have been hit hardest include many of our transit riders, So anything we can do to help them during this time would be so helpful. I would hate to, when so many people are hurting, I hate to start instituting fairs again if it's not necessary. And maybe we look at where that happens. I know that, the Central Avenue Trolley is used by a lot of workers. And we've talked in the past about eventually perhaps that could be fare-free like the Looper. So maybe this could be the time to pull the trigger on that. I'm just wondering, if we can do without it a little bit longer, I'd really like to see, the capacity increase, but not have the fares go back in. I don't know if that's possible, but I'd love for that to be considered.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because we have been looking at a lot, at all the aspects associated with our fares during this time when we're not having any fares. And there's a lot of benefits to not charging a fare, not only for the customers love that, of course, but it saves us money and handling costs of all the cash. Cassandra and her team have been doing some research on sort of the new wave in transportation of some cities have announced that they're looking at not charging fares on their transit anymore.
Right.
And she's found out some information about that from, the biggest city that's done that is Kansas City, but Los Angeles has looked at it, is looking at it in different ways. And so we've talked to them, and I think that'll be a presentation that you'll see next month in May about that. Ultimately, her group is not recommending to me that we can go fare-free permanently. It is not only on the financial front, there's other issues. One of the biggest issues that we have right now is on our paratransit. There's a federal law that says you cannot charge more than twice the base fare for paratransit. And so when your fare on your transit is 0, 2 times 0 is 0. So it's free. It's free and unlimited to ride, care ride, and then ultimately paratransit. And that growth that service is really growing. And we pay every time someone rides. And some people are riding 20, 30, 40 times a month on that. So that's something that we're looking at. What I think is more likely, and kind of getting to your point about kind of targeting reduced fares, or to make sure transit is accessible to everyone in our community, especially those who need to access jobs, is maybe looking at our transportation disadvantage pass in a different way. That's a pass that basically very low income people can purchase and get a very almost free rides with that. But maybe we can kind of present that in a different way. Maybe kind of look at the income levels that's required on that. I think those recommendations will come before the PSA board before we actually put fares back in.
Okay,
Okay, well, good.
all right, thank you. It's good to hear that you're exploring different ways to
Yeah.
make that happen. Thank you.
Oh, I should also mention finally that the Flamingo Fairs, which we were all excited about happening until March 2020 when COVID hit, is now ready to go. So it will be ready in June if necessary. And that provides a contactless way of paying your fare that we didn't have before, where you can just wave your phone with your Flamingo Fare app. So that's the announcement.
We might need a refresher on that. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh, I know.
Maybe
I
add
need my
that to
references too.
a May agenda or something.
All right, Commissioner Long?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I was listening carefully to the comments made by Commissioner Driscoll, and to the point about fares for public transportation, I would like to suggest that this is really a much larger conversation than just trying to get beyond the pandemic and the restrictions that we have all been hit with. Because until such time as our elected leaders understand clearly that transportation options and the public transportation options and infrastructure and are an essential need for our citizens, individual transportation providers will continue to struggle with how to provide that much-needed service to our citizens at a cost that doesn't force us into a bankruptcy state, quite frankly. So until such time as we have the discussion, and to that point, county government has been having or trying to have that public discussion for as long as I've been on the county commission and as long as I've been involved in transportation issues, whether it was as a city councilor or a state legislator. So I think that things are changing, our world is changing, There are new opportunities now, and I know that the county is going to be forced to push that issue out for public education and thoughtful debate over the next 2 years, because in 2022, our Transportation Trust Fund runs out to zero. So we don't have a choice, and I dare say there's going to be a lot of discussion about these issues going forward, and I think we have to be very careful and very mindful how much it impacts our service at PSTA. The one thing I know for sure is it's not free. And while we may do everything we can to try to make it free, the cost has to be borne by someone. And though we do have ad valorem taxing authority, it isn't lost on me, and I hope it isn't lost on all of you, that we still have quite a few municipalities who do not participate in that
Right.
revenue collection. So that's not fair either. I'll just stop there, but you get my point. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Anything else you need to talk about on the agenda?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That's a good discussion.
Any other business of any other kind? Nope. Okay, then, we are adjourned.
Thank you,
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you. Good discussion. Oh, Sandra texted me. Oh, I think, good. Sandra was listening.